Hi there. This demo, and I call it a demo more than a tutorial because this piece of software is painfully easy to figure out and use, is called Brewday Timer. And I got this as a free download because I was a little perturbed that most of the brewing software that I know of anyway doesn't come with timers to keep track of all your different additions and things like that. So I got this one I have two versions of this. This version I got from a link off of Homebrew Talk, and I found a newer version yesterday, so I'll show you that in a little bit. It has four main screens. This is the main screen, the default screen. This is the boil timer. It has the clarifiers page, the mash and sparge timers page, and Brewday notes. What I do as far as a brew day goes, I start with the mash timers, and it's really nice that you can just set your mash alarms. Once you set the alarm, then this screen comes up. And if you're using some kind of a recirculating thing, you can set that for however many minutes you want to do that. I use this alarm to time my sparge water, and the default is 20 minutes. And on my system, that's pretty much how long it takes to heat up my sparge water. Once you start that, then it'll start this alarm when there's 20 minutes left. And on this same page, you can do first wort hopping, a certain amount of time. There's sparge timers, but that's really just kind of like a stopwatch that I've found. So once I do that, then I set my boil time. Let's reset that. I need to set the alarm and then reset it so I can show you how to do that. It's very simple. Set your boil time. I'm going to set this to 1 hour and 1 minute, and I'll show you why I do that in a second. Once that's set, then you can go to the hops page and add hops. If you try going to the hops page before you set the timer, it won't work. It's all gray. So there's multiple hop additions that you can make, and it comes really in handy if you're doing like a big hoppy IPA. It'll keep track of all that stuff, and you just set how long you want it. And if you want a 1 hour addition, if you set the boil timer for 1 hour and the first hop addition for 1 hour, you won't hear an alarm, which is because once you start the timer, then it just starts. So I always set my boil timer for 1 hour and 1 minute. That way I get an actual physical alarm to remind me. You set the hours, set the time, set your hops, and it has most hops, but if you don't, it has one that you don't have. Like if you're using a hop that it doesn't have, then you just have to keep track of that yourself. Set how much you want, and you can even do pounds if you're doing some huge, big brew thing. And then it will, once you do that, then it'll give you an alarm, and I'll show you what that sounds like when I talk about the other program. You can set all these for the first 9 editions, hops 1 through 9. It says just hop, and it lists hops. Hop 10 through 13, they say they have adjuncts, but they're not listed in the choices. They're just listed as hops. So you just need to keep track of that yourself for that. But they do have clarifiers, and they have the most common ones. And they have nutrients, and they have the most common ones for nutrients. And it gives you which ounces and whatever, how much you want. It's basically just keeps track of all that stuff. Now, once you go to the boil time, then you start this timer. Clicking that, we'll start that timer. And what it'll do, once you get to that point, it will switch over to the hops page, and then it'll give you an alarm. And I'll just wait here for 40 seconds, and I'll show you what that's like. I'll talk about this in the meantime. This is a refractometer conversion. If you're using a refractometer, it'll translate it from bricks to specific gravity, and it's a little different than some of the other calculators that I've seen, but it works. It's easy. It's convenient. It doesn't have a temperature correction, but that's all right. It does have a final gravity, but I haven't trusted that yet. And in just a second, it's going to click over to the other page, and you'll get to hear what the alarms sound like. See, clicks over to the page, and then once it hits it, clear that, it stops. So that's that program, and I will stop this here. One kind of frustrating thing, because I'm lazy, I will often forget things. So once you set your timer, once you start your timer, then you can't go back and change things on this page. It won't let you. So if you do that, then you just stop the timer, then you go and change things, and then you start it again. So it's really not that big a deal. But I'll come back in just a second and show you the other newer version of this program. Okay, here's part 2. This is the new and improved version of Brewday Timer. And this, if you do a Google search on Brewday Timer, you'll find this on Big Belly's Brew page, I think. And the guy that made that page wrote this program, I do believe. And this seems to be a new and improved version. The calculators are not here that was on the other page. The difference in the main page is that up here you have a little display that shows all the different sparge times and mash times and boil times that are just all already up here on the main page. You don't really have to click back and forth if you're just doing that. This page is pretty much the same as it was before. The main difference that I see is actually in this page, in that it has just as many hop additions, but it doesn't list which one it is, like hop 1, hop 2, hop 3, but it has all of the ingredients on every selection. So it has all the hops, all the adjuncts, all these things, the clarifiers, and the flavor additives. And there's quite a variety of things, and all the nutrients, the most common nutrients. And you can do that for anything you want. It doesn't really matter what time, because the timer itself will take care of remembering which goes where. So things like that, you want to do that at 1 minute, set the alarm, and after, you can actually set the alarm without any kind of an amount, but for all the different things, like the different additives, has all the different various quantities of what it is. 3/4 of a cup of 3/4 of a cup of whatever that is. Play around with that, but it has all that. Mash sparge timers are a little different, and I'm still kind of figuring this out. But what I'm going to end up doing, you click to you can put your temperature in, mash temperature at so many minutes, so many hours, whatever. Start that, and then what you can do, check the recircle alarm, and that will give you another timer that will activate within this mash alarm. So you can do that, and it'll work that way. One of the nice things about this version is that all the calculators are on their own page. He's added a couple. So this is the convert to hydro, which was on the main page of the other version. He also has calculating expected first work gravity, which I haven't played around with that yet. I haven't really played much with this program yet, because I just found it yesterday. But he also, which is really cool, if you're using a hydrometer, it'll actually it's got a built-in temperature correction, which is excellent. And then there's a note thing. You can just take notes on the different brews that you have. But that's this version, which is kind of cool. The sounds that they have, you can it has all different kinds of sounds, like this one, which is the attention. But I normally just use this sound, which is the default alarm, which is kind of cool. But they have all different kinds of sounds, and you can play around with those. They have Load Beer XML, which I'm still playing around with. But I think this is, in general, this is a great program for keeping track of all this stuff. And hey, it's free. So, you have any questions, any comments? Leave me a note. I'll do my best to try to answer them. All right? Have a great day. Happy brewing.